Knight to h3.
I thought you were playing Red Dragon Archfiend. Look again, idiot.
Checkmate.
Aye. Subscribe. We have been labbing and experimenting with all kinds of different Red Dragon Archfiend builds with the goal of getting the deck some of its first ever competitive successes. After getting top 128 at UK Nationals and securing our invite with Elf No RDA, it's now time to look towards Euros and therefore the new Chaos Origins format. Red Dragon Archfiend actually gets some new toys to play with in Chaos Origins, with not only the Chaos Ritual cards, but the world premiere chess archetype as well. So today we're going to be checking those out, labbing out some combos and ideas, then seeing if they're any good competitively compared to what we already have available. Maybe we discover some new goo or take one of these new builds to Euros, who knows man? Let's get into it. So let's talk about where the synergy with Red Dragon Archfiend actually comes from when it comes to these two new archetypes. First we have the Chaos Ritual deck. The archetype essentially has three different starters: Griffo, Black Chaos, and the new Ragged Right spell. Griffo, of course, is a level 1 fiend, meaning it can be searched by Soul Resonator and Crimson Call, while Black Chaos is a level 8 monster that cannot be normal summoned or set, allowing it to be searched by Crimson Blade Dragon. So there's multiple different ways to bridge into this engine from the RDA side. But believe it or not, you can also actually bridge from just a Chaos Ritual starter into the full Red Dragon Archfiend combo as well, which I'll show you in a bit. As for the chess engine, it's a bit of an interesting archetype, honestly. We have the field spell, which requires a spell or trap discard, so that's kind of rough as a starter. Opening to E4, which is a really fun hand trap starter, or Witness of the Ancients, which can be searched by Null Gainer, and this is the main bridge into the engine. Null Gainer, of course, being a generic level 8 Dark Synchro, so things like Power Vice Dragon have no problem just looping through it as part of the combo. The funny part is that you could do some really stupid things when it comes to deck building here and even mash all of these engines together. One Power Vice Dragon is literally ritual setup, chess setup, and some extra RDA plays sprinkled on top. But is all that really necessary? Probably not. So obviously there's a lot of cool different things that we can do with both of these engines, but as always it comes down to the space required in both the main deck and the extra deck to determine whether they're worth it or not, alongside things like redundancy, brick count, etc, etc. And when we pair that with a deck like Red Dragon Archfiend, which for example in a pure deck already plays 5 or 6 different bricks in the main deck, we're going to end up having to make some concessions to the engines to make the hybrid build work. For example, in the Mitsurugi build, we ended up cutting a few of the Red Dragon Archfiend bricks to streamline the combo lines and make room for the Mitsu bricks. So we're going to speak about the engines here and determine what the minimum amount of cards that we can play in each of these engines are, starting with the Chaos Ritual deck. Of course, we're going to have our 3 Griffo. This is the best starter in the deck. It plays around Droll, it plays around Ghost Ogre, it gives you some turn 0 plays in conjunction with things like Harmonia, which is really, really strong. You're absolutely playing 3 of this. Then of course you have the Black Chaos and the Ragged Records of Rights. You can play up to 9 starters if you really wanted to, but I don't think that's a good idea. Typically you want your starters to also act as extenders so that if one gets stopped, the other one can continue your plays. Whereas the issue with these 3 cards is that if you open all 3 of them, you kind of get bottlenecked at the Mind Shuffle Trap Surge. If this gets ashed, you can't really extend with any of these cards. So I don't think we max out here. I don't think we need to play the Ragged Record of Rights. That's definitely optional. Black Chaos, it's mandatory to play at least 1 in the hybrid build. You can maybe play 2 or 3 if you want to up the starter count. And then similar to Mitsurugi, this engine has a lot of engine requirements or bricks, Mind Shuffle being one of them. And it's also really scary because if you open the Mind Shuffle, both your Griffo and Black Chaos are turned off because this sets from the deck and then this places from deck or graveyard. You would have to like pitch the trap with Bone Archfiend to then activate your Black Chaos and then place it back from the graveyards. This is why a lot of the Chaos Ritual decks play 2 copies of Mind Shuffle so that that doesn't happen. But if we're trying to minimize the engine requirements, we have the 1 Mind Shuffle here, as well as the 1 Skull Archfiend of Chaos, 1 Light and Darkness Ritual spell, the 1 Demock, and the 1 BLS. Also, why is this guy Earth, man? Why is everything dark except the BLS being Earth? This stops you from being able to play Impulse, Spark. It's really annoying, dude. Really, really annoying. That's so stupid. But yeah, while minimizing the engine requirements makes your grind game and some of your combo lines a bit more fragile, it does drastically reduce the chances of drawing bad cards that don't really work together. Another optional card I will say is the Chaos Magical Hats. You can maybe side this in for going first for the situation where you get hit with a Fuwalos and you're just going through the Chaos Ritual plays. The ceiling of the engine into Fuwalos is literally just the BLS Banish and then kind of like the towers tagging out. So if you side in the Magical Hats, it gives you an additional interruption, specifically when you're under Fuwalos, I suppose. So yeah, obviously a lot of engine requirements in the Rolad Chaos Ritual engine, but if Mitsurugi as a deck is anything to go by, you shouldn't just immediately write a deck off for the number of bricks it plays. Moving on to the chess engine, it's more of a extra deck heavy package rather than the main deck. For example, of course, we have our 3 opening to E4 hand trap card, really good card. 1 field spell is all you need to resolve the opening to E4, and then the 1 witness to, of course, bridge into the chess engine. The difficulty with this engine is, of course, how much of the extra deck you want to dedicate towards it. For example, the absolute minimum you can get away with to resolve an opening to E4 is to play a pawn or a knight to special summon, and then the king to place in the back row for that 5 monster effect lock. But the lock ends up being a lot better if you can protect it from card effects, so you end up wanting to play the Bastion. Then if you actually want to resolve the field spell, you have to play a pawn, and I think this is maybe the minimum you should play in the extra deck. Then if you want to resolve the pawn by giving it to your opponent and ranking up, you need to play another copy, so that would be another knight, and then sometimes that gives you the option to place double knight to make your opponent pay 1,000 for every effect. I don't know, it's a lot to consider. But then of course we have the Null Gainer, which is mandatory, you know, it's the bridge card, and then the Ultimate Tzolk'in, because this searches this, and then both of these can just make the Tzolk'in for free, and this will get you to a Zalin out of the extra deck. Or, you know, maybe like a Crystal Wing if you're not locked to Dark Synchros. So yeah, we have a main deck heavy engine and then an extra deck heavy engine. You can kind of see why it's possible to pair these, but then when also combining it with Red Dragon Archfiend, that's where the deck building becomes very, very interesting. So we're going to jump into combos just with the Chaos Ritual hybrid, then we'll jump into combos with the Chess hybrid, and then we'll jump into Tribrid combos at the end. Now, obviously, the more bricks you play in your deck, the more impressive your potential combos can be, but we do want to keep it realistic, so all the combos I'm going to show you are only going to be using the 2 bricks from the Red Dragon Archfiend engine, and that is going to be the Vision and the Darkness Resonator. Now, the first combo I'm going to show you isn't really a combo, it's just a bread and butter interaction that every Ritual of Light and Darkness player should know, and that is your very powerful turn 0 play of opening Griffo plus Harmonia going second. So here, of course, you're going to hit your opponent with the Harmonia dumping the Malong to stop some of their plays, but you can then go effect of Griffo to set the Mind Shuffle, activate the Mind Shuffle and its effect on activation, adding the Skull Archfiend and of course discarding the Skull Archfiend. Effect will send the ritual spell for cost and search for the BLS ritual. This is still, of course, on your opponent's turn 1, and if they're still playing, in response to a card or effect, you can activate the Mind Shuffle effect, bouncing Harmonia back to hand for cost, to then use on your next turn as well to summon out the BLS ritual, which will then banish a card on their field. So just a really, really strong turn 0 play, recurring the Harmonia back to hand for you to then break their half board while being fully set up. Alright, this combo is going to be just with the Power Vice Dragon. We're going to activate the effect of Power Vice to special summon and its effect to search. Here we grab the Soul Resonator, we'll then normal summon Soul, activate the effect of Soul, and search for the Griffo. Now typically here is where we would get hit by a Fuwalos, and in that situation we are able to just pivot to doing the Chaos Ritual plays, and if we want to, we can even make a level 8 Synchro like Draco Berserker for an additional interruption into just the 1 draw. So we have much better anti-Fuwa lines, but assuming we don't get hit with a Fuwalos, we are going to Synchro into the Crimson King effect. Here we will add the Vision Resonator. We're then going to activate the effect of Griffo to set the Mind Shuffle to the field, and then we'll activate Mind Shuffle and the effect on activation to play around the Ghost Ogre, adding the Skull Archfiend and discarding the Skull Archfiend. Skull effect, sending the spell for cost to add the Magician. Then go Effect of the Ritual Engrave, adding itself back plus the Skull Archfiend, and then special summon our Vision Resonator. Synchro with the Crimson King into Bestial Dispatter. Vision Effect is going to grab the Crimson Gaia. We'll then activate our Light and Darkness Ritual, banishing the Crimson King from the graveyard to special out our Magician here, and then effect on summon, we'll just add the ritual spell back to hand. Fire off the Crimson Gaia and its effect, searching for the Darkness Resonator. We'll go effect of Skull Archfiend in hand, shuffling back the Power Vice, the Soul, and the Griffo from graveyard back into the deck to special summon itself. We'll then activate the effect of Darkness, revealing RDA. To special summon, effect to make itself level 1, and synchro into the Crimson Blade Dragon. Crimson Blade effect is going to grab our Lubellion. We'll activate the effect of Lubellion to search for the Magna. We'll go Magna effect, banishing the Vision from grave to special summon itself, and of course, effect on summon. We'll then tribute the Magna for Lubellion, which gives us an additional level 7 or higher body to trigger the Mind Shuffle in case we have to chain again to like a Ghost Ogre or like a Fallen and the Virtuous once we tag out the Magician. We'll then go Dispatter effect, summoning back the Vision and synchro with the Crimson Blade into our Abyss, and then proceed to the end phase where we add our Harmonia. Now in our opponent's draw phase, we're going to activate the effect of Mind Shuffle, adding the BLS and just discarding the ritual spell here, and we pretty much have our full setup. That is just with the Power Vice Dragon and Vision and Darkness as our only RDA bricks. Alright, next combo is going to be just the Boner. Now, there's two ways you can play this. You can go for a normal summon Bone, which would be full combo if you add an additional brick in Synchron Resonator to the deck, or if we still maintain just the 2 Red Dragon Archfiend bricks, we will have to special summon the Bone, and doing it this way plays better around the Fuwalos as well. So we'll activate the effect of Bone, pitching a card to special summon itself, and then Bone effect, target itself, send the Vision to grave to increase its level to 5. Vision effect, we'll add the Crimson Gaia, and then we'll activate the Crimson Gaia and its effect to get to the Soul Resonator. We can then normal summon our Soul and go Soul effect to grab the Griffo, and once again this is where we would get hit with a Fuwalos, allowing us to just pivot into the Chaos Ritual lines. Once again, assuming no Fuwalos, we're going to synchro into the Crimson King. Crimson King effect is going to grab the Power Vice Dragon. We'll then go effect of Power Vice to special summon itself, and effect to search the Darkness Resonator. We'll go effect of Darkness to special, revealing our RDA. And then we'll go effect to make itself level 1, and synchro into the Red Rising. We'll go Red Rising effect to summon back the Vision Resonator, to then synchro with the Crimson King into our Dispatter. We'll then fire off our Griffo to set the Mind Shuffle and activate the Mind Shuffle, add discard effect, spinning the Ritual and searching for our Magician. We'll go effect of Ritual Engrave, adding itself plus the Skull Archfiend back, and then we'll fire off our Ritual spell, banishing our Power Vice and the Darkness Resonator to summon out our Magician of Black Chaos. Effect is once again going to add back the ritual spell to hand. We'll go effect of Dispatter to summon back the Darkness Resonator, and then we can synchro with the Red Rising into our Abyss and get to the board that way. We'll now pass turn, and of course in our opponent's draw phase, we're going to activate the effect of Mind Shuffle, searching for the Griffo and discarding the Skull Archfiend. Skull Archfiend will activate, sending our ritual spell from hand to grave for cost, getting us to our ritual BLS in hand. Then if we are playing it or siding it in, we can activate our Griffo here to set our Chaos Magical Hats for an additional interruption as well. That's the Bone Archfiend combo. The Soul Resonator combo is pretty much just going to be the same thing, but it is worse into Fuwalos. Alright, here is the bridge from Chaos Ritual to Red Dragon Archfiend. You do have to add some cards to the deck, 3 extra deck slots and then 1 main deck slot. This can be done with any of the starters, Black Chaos, Ragged Records. Here we're going to use the Griffo and fire off its effect to set the Mind Shuffle. We'll activate the Mind Shuffle and its effect, adding the Skull Archfiend and discarding Skull Archfiend. We'll go Skull Archfiend effect, spinning the spell, and searching the Magician. We'll then go Grave effect of the Ritual, adding itself back with the Skull Archfiend, and then we'll fire off our Ritual spell, banishing the Griffo for our materials to summon out the Magician of Dark Chaos, and then of course effect will add back the Ritual to hand. Now here we're going to banish the Magician to summon the Dark Magician of Destruction. I wasn't paying like £60 just for one combo in a video, but yeah.
If you're a broke boy, just say so.
We'll go effect, adding the Magician's Souls to hand. We'll then go effect of Magician's Souls, sending Black Chaos to grave to special summon itself, and then if we really want to, we can go Magician's Souls effect, pitching our Ritual spell to draw a card. We'll then link the D-mod into Gravity Controller, and synchro into the Cookie Yummy Way. This could be any Yummy synchro, but we prefer the Cookie because it actually has interruption on summon. From here, we're going to activate the effect of Skull Archfiend in hand, shuffling back the banished Griffo, and then the 2 extra deck cards to special summon it out. That is a level 6 non-tuner Dark Monster plus a level 2 tuner. We find our way to the Crimson King, baby. Effect, we'll grab the Power Vice Dragon, and then we'll go effect of Power Vice to special summon, effect to search, Vision Resonator. We'll special the Vision, and then synchro with the Power Vice into our Crimson Blade. Chainlink 1 Crimson Blade, Chainlink 2 Vision. It's going to grab us the Crimson Gaia and Lubellion. We'll activate our Gaia and its effect, searching for Soul Resonator. We've not used our normal summon yet, so we can just normal soul and then go soul effect to add our darkness. We'll synchro soul with a Crimson Blade into Dispatter. Dispatter effect can summon back our banished magician. We'll go effect of darkness, revealing RDA to special summon itself, and then we'll go effect to make itself level 1, allowing us to synchro with the Crimson King into the Abyss. We'll fire off the Lubellion effect to grab Magna, and then Magna can banish whatever. Honestly, I guess we'll just banish the Crimson King to special summon itself, effect on summon, and then tribute for the Lubellion. We'll go to the end phase here and grab our Harmonia. Then, just like before, opponent's draw phase will go effect of Mind Shuffle, adding the BLS Ritual, and then we have a free card to discard here. And that is the full board from just any Chaos Ritual starter, which is actually really nice. We also still have the Ritual with the Black Chaos in Graveyard for the next turn to add back, which is really sick. We also just have the extra deck space to make it possible. The only downside is adding Magician's Souls to the deck, which isn't amazing. It's kind of like another bad draw, but it gives the Chaos Ritual engine an actual ceiling if that's the only engine that you see in your hand. Now, the best part is that we even still have space in the extra deck to run Fallen of the White Dragon. For example, we're going to activate the effect of Fallen, sending Albion to grave, to special summon itself, and then effect to bring out the Incredible Ecclesia. Synchro these two into the Crimson King effect. We'll grab the Power Vice. We can then go effect of Power Vice to special summon and Power Vice effect to grab the Soul Resonator. Normal summon Soul. Soul effect will of course get us to our Griffo, and then we can synchro the Soul with the Vice into our Draco Berserker. We'll then fire off Griffo, set the Mind Shuffle and activate the Mind Shuffle, add Skull, discard Skull, Skull effect, we'll dump the Ritual, and search Magician. We'll go effect of the Ritual, add itself back alongside the Skull, and then fire off our Ritual spell, banishing Griffo from grave to special summon Magician, who will add back the Ritual, of course. From there we go to the end phase and activate our Albion effect in grave to set the Fallen and the Virtuous. Pass to our opponent, we're in their draw phase, we'll activate the effect of Mind Shuffle, adding another copy of Griffo and discarding the Skull Archfiend. Skull Archfiend effect, binning the Ritual to search for the BLS, and then if we play it or side it in, we can fire off the Griffo as well to grab the magical hats, all off of the Fallen of the White Dragon, which is really nice. Alright, moving on to some chess combos here. These are a little bit more wacky because the engine doesn't require much main deck space and there's not really a lot of bricks being added to the deck either, allowing you to have more of your Red Dragon Archfiend bricks in the deck and, you know, make your plays a bit more flexible that way. If you hard open any of these cards, you don't have to do anything too funky, but I will show you the combos where you bridge into the engine. Alright, starting off with the Power Vice Dragon, we're going to activate its effect to special summon and effect on summon to grab the Darkness Resonator. We'll go effect of Darkness to special summon and effect to gain an additional normal before synchroing off into the King. Crimson King effect, we'll grab the Soul Resonator and then we'll use our additional normal summon on the Soul, activate Soul's effect to search to get to our Boner. We'll then use our actual normal summon on the Boner, go Bone effect, target Soul, send Vision to grave to increase Soul to level 4. Vision effect will get us to our Crimson Gaia. We can then synchro the Soul and Bone into the Null Gainer. Null Gainer effect will search Witness of the Ancient. We'll go effect of Witness to special summon and effect on summon to directly place both the Rook and the King, summoning out a level 2 token. On resolution, effect of the King, we'll grab our trap card. We'll then synchro the Witness with the Null Gainer into the Ultimate Soulkin and then set our trap card, which will trigger the Soulkin to bring out the Zalin. Now this does not count as a synchro summon, so if it gets sent to the graveyard or banished, you're not going to be able to summon it back with something like Dispatter. Just keep that in mind. From here we'll go effect of the Boner and Grave, sending the trap because we don't really need it anymore to special summon himself back, fire off the Crimson Gaia and use its effect to search for the Crimson Call. Activate Crimson Call to search for Synchron Resonator, and then we'll special summon Synchron. From here, we're going to use our level 2 non-tuner token with the level 4 bone and the Synchron into the Crimson Blade Dragon. Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. We'll grab Vision back from grave and search Lubellion. We'll then fire off Lubellion effect to search Magna and tribute the token because it's always treated as a level 12 to summon back the Lubellion. Special summon Vision and Synchro into Dispatter. We'll then go effect of Magna, banishing Vision from grave to special summon itself, effect on summon, and then Dispatter, summon back the Vision to synchro with the Crimson Blade into Abyss, and that is the full board, of course going to the end phase and adding Harmonia off of the Magna. Pretty solid when you do go uninterrupted, and the normal summon bone combo is going to get to the exact same board. Alright, so just the lone boner will normal summon Bone and activate his effect, targeting himself, dumping a Vision to increase his level to 5, and then we'll go Vision effect. That's going to fetch our Gaia, which we will fire off and activate to get to our Darkness Resonator, effect of Darkness to special, and effect to gain an additional normal before synchroing into the Crimson King. King effect is going to get us to our Power Vice Dragon. We'll then go effect of Power Vice to special and effect to search for the soul. Additional normal summon of soul, soul effect, gets us to the Synchron before synchroing into the Null Gainer. Now it's just a direct repeat of the previous combo. We go Null Gainer effect to search for the Witness. Witness effect to special summon, effect to place both the Bastion and the King to grab a level 2 token. Effect to the King to get the Angelic Trap. Synchro Witness with the Null Gainer into the Tzolk'in, and then set the trap to trigger the Tzolk'in, bringing out the Zalin. We then go Bone effect to special by sending the trap to grave. Out he comes. We can then special summon the Synchron, and once again we use the token, the Boner and the Synchron to synchro into the Crimson Blade. Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, grabbing back Vision and searching Lubellion. We go Lubellion effect, search the Magna, tribute Tzolk'in for the Lubellion, special summon the Vision and then synchro with Lubellion into Dispatter. Magna effect, target Vision, and then effect on summon, Dispatter, summon back the Vision to synchro with the Crimson Blade into Abyss, and then end phase, grabbing the Harmonia. So yeah, pretty cool hybrid chess Red Dragon Archfiend combos. Now, let's take a look at some Tribrid combos with the Chaos Ritual as well. Alright, now when we consider the Tribrid version of the deck, I think this is when it gets to a point where there's too many kind of awkward draws in the deck. So if you want to play it as a Tribrid, you really do then have to slim down on the Red Dragon Archfiend engine and streamline some of your combos. So we cut all of the Red Dragon Archfiend bricks, we just focus on the high quality starters like Wildbaz and Power Vice Dragon. So I will show you these two combos that get through all of the engines. Alright, once again, starting off with the Power Vice Dragon here, we're going to activate its effect to special summon and its effect to search for Soul Resonator. We can then normal summon Soul and activate the effect of Soul to fetch the Griffo. We'll then synchro these two into the Null Gainer and go Null Gainer effect. This will grab the Witness, and then we'll go Witness effect to special summon as summon number 4. We'll then go effect of Witness, directly placing the Bastion and the King, giving us a level 2 token. King will trigger on res, and we'll get access to our Angelic Trap. From here, this step is optional, but it's totally free, so you might as well. We can synchro the Witness with the level 2 token into a light Chaos Angel, just to protect all of our synchro monsters from monster effects. We can then use the effect of Null Gainer to reborn a monster with 0 attack. That's going to be the Witness, to then synchro into the Tzolk'in, probably not in the extra monster zone. We can activate our Griffo to set our Mind Shuffle from the deck. That's going to trigger the Tzolk'in, bringing out our Zalin, and then we'll activate the Mind Shuffle and its effect, adding Skull Archfiend, discarding Skull Archfiend. Skull Archfiend effect bins the spell to search the Magician. We'll then activate the effect of the ritual to add itself back alongside the Skull Archfiend, and fire off the ritual spell, banishing our Griffo to summon out the Magician. Magician effect adds back the ritual spell. We can then set our opening to E4, which in this build probably will be live, and then we can pass turn here. In our opponent's draw phase, we'll fire off the opening to E4, summoning out a pawn, placing the field spell, and placing a knight in the back row. We can then activate the effect of Mind Shuffle, adding another copy of Griffo, and pitching the Skull Archfiend. Skull Archfiend will trigger, binning the ritual from hand, getting us to the BLS, And then finally, we can fire off the Griffo to potentially set a magical hat, although probably don't play it in this build because we're just never going to have the room to resolve it. So yeah, all of this is off of the 1 Power Vice Dragon. Let's get into the Wildbaz combo. All right, with our Wildbaz, our end board trades a Crimson King and a Fallen and the Virtuous for the Zalin. So we're going to activate the effect of Fallen, sending Albion to special summon itself, and then effect on summon. We'll bring out the Ecclesia. We'll then synchro into the Crimson King. King effect. We'll grab our Power Vice, and then we'll go effect of Power Vice to special summon and effect to search. That gets us to our Soul Resonator, which we can then use our normal summon on, and then Soul effect adds our Griffo. We'll synchro Soul with a Vice into the Null Gainer here. Null Gainer effect. We'll add our Witness. We can activate the effect of Witness to special summon and effect to place 2 in the back row and give us a level 2 token, but we're not actually going to be able to use the token this time because we are locked to level 8. Effect of the King gets us to our trap card. We'll then fire off the Griffo to set the Mind Shuffle, activate Mind Shuffle and its effect, add Skull, pitch Skull, Skull effect, Bin's Ritual, adds Magician, Ritual effect to come back to hand with the Skull, and we'll fire off the Ritual, banishing the Griffo to special summon our Magician. Magician effect on summon adds back the Ritual spell, and then from there we go to the end phase and resolve the Albion to set a Fallen and the Virtuous. So we're missing the Zalin and the Chaos Angel as well as the additional opening to E4 setup, but we do have the Fallen and the Virtuous and our entire board protected thanks to the Crimson King with the Soul Resonator engraved. Obviously, once again, in our opponent's draw phase, we would activate Mind Shuffle, probably just adding the Black Chaos this time and pitching the Skull Archfiend, which will once again bin the spell and get us to our BLS. So yeah, playing at Tribrid, not as much of a Red Dragon Archfiend deck compared to the hybrids, but there's definitely a lot of fun and cool things you can do. So a lot of experimentation to be done. Okay, now obviously we're not going to do 3 full deck profiles in the one video. That would be way too long, way too much information and all of that. Instead, we're just going to revisit the Red Dragon Archfiend tier list and get the consensus on where I think these 3 new builds slot in amongst all of the other Red Dragon Archfiend decks that we've gone over already. I will say it's Euros literally this weekend, so I haven't put in as much time into these 3 builds compared to all of the other builds. So this is just kind of like early opinions. First up, we have the Ritual of Light and Darkness Red Dragon Archfiend deck. The Ritual engine is really cool. Some of the cards are really strong, especially going second. You have that incredible turn 0 play with Griffo and Harmonia. Black Chaos is just insane, completely unaffected, can just non-targeting banish 2 cards off of the opponent's field. The issue is it's just too many bricks, man. It can feel kind of messy to play, figuring out your lines because, you know, you don't have all of the same bricks that you would have in a normal Red Dragon Archfiend deck. But the synergies with the engine is better than Mitsu, how you have multiple different ways to bridge into the Ritual of Light and Darkness engine. It also gives you a decent branded matchup going first, which is nice. It's too many bricks to be a regional deck. Probably a locals. You can't play Impulse or Spark. I want to say this is worse than RDA Mitsu. RDA Mitsu can even cut a brick now if you play Ragged Rights instead of the pre-prep. It allows you to cut Mirror. So yeah, that's what I'm going to say for the Rolad RDA deck. We're going to say it's just a locals deck for now. Chess Red Dragon Archfiend is, you know, there's barely any main deck commitments. You're basically just playing Red Dragon Archfiend Wildbaz, just with opening to E4 in the deck. Opening to E4 and just the chess lock in general is very strong. Although on its own, it's not as strong as people thought because it's very easy to out. It loses to a Ghost Ogre or a Fallen and the Virtuous, which a lot of people are playing this format. Even just an SP within 5 monster effects isn't that difficult to out the lock. So opening to E4 on its own isn't that good. If you combine it with some of the other broken non-engine that we can play in the deck, it does get a lot better. And you can still play Impulse, Spark, etc. You do lose a lot of flexibility in your extra deck options. So I'm not 100% sure if it's worse or better than Red Dragon Archfiend Wildbaz. I will say it's better than Centurion because you can side out the Witness going second. Heck, you can maybe even side out the Field Spell going first because if you're going through Null Gainer, you don't really need the Field Spell unless you hard draw opening. For now, I'm going to put it between Wildbaz and Centurion. It could be better than Wildbaz, though. This could be the best regional deck. I do have locals literally tonight, and I am going to play the chess RDA deck to kind of get more of a feel for it, and then maybe that'll change the consensus. But for now, we're going to put it above Centurion and below the pure Wildbaz deck. Purely because Wildbaz gives you the additional extra deck utility, being able to play things like Super Poly if you want to. You can maximize Fallen and the Virtuous and play like the Ecclesia synchro. You still have room for extra Harmonia targets. Yeah, Wildbaz currently, I will say, is better. And then we have the Tribrid build that cuts down on the Red Dragon Archfiend engine, gets rid of all the bricks, just plays the high-quality starters, mixed with chess, and the Ritual of Light and Darkness deck. On paper, this deck seems really good, because you've gotten rid of all the bricks, you're only playing the bricks from the Ritual of Light and Darkness deck, and you have so much free utility available, and you're playing so many high quality cards that your lines don't really get too messed up because they're kind of simple. I think on all fronts, Elf Note is still potentially the better deck here, especially with Doom Pride now. Elf Note RDA is also more of an RDA deck than the Tribrid, despite having less RDA cards, because you're able to actually make RDA plays and put up an RDA board. Whereas in the Tribrid deck, even though you have more RDA cards in the main deck, you're just kind of using those to get to the Ritual and Chess starters. So yeah, I think this Tribrid deck definitely has a lot of potential. I think it's just funny, right? It's funny that the good RDA builds are the builds that focus less on the RDA engine. That's just how it works. Our deck ass. So yeah, these are my current placings for the 3 new builds that we've come up with here. Literally a vertical line right here across all 3 tiers. I still don't actually know what build I'm going to be playing for Euros this weekend. I've been focusing too much on Genesis, trying to figure out the lines and like a deck build and non-engine and the format in general to play the main Genesis event on the Friday. So if you want to see some updated RDA Genesis content, let me know. It plays very, very differently. I still refuse to put in all of the bricks like, you know, UV Loop Red Zone, Flame Crime, Chain Resonator, but I am still summoning Hypernova thanks to Synchro Overtake. Yeah, I'm just looking at the time now. I gotta go to locals, bro. Alright, goodbye.